Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome to this live reading session with me, Hannah. So I will just wait a moment to see who joins the session. I'll give it a minute or so. Let's see who joins. Hi, so welcome to this live reading session with me, Hannah. We'll see who joins. I see a couple of people are currently viewing, but we will see who else joins in. It is the solar eclipse in Virgo today. And my webcam is a little bit different, by the way. Let's see. Go here. Here should be okay. Check the comments. Okay. And go here. Okay. Maybe I'll go and grab my proper webcam because I'm not really liking the way this looks. Give me a moment and I'll go and grab my proper webcam. Let's see. There we go. It's much better. Much better. Right, yes. So hello, everyone. Welcome to this live reading session with me. And I'm going to see who does join. There is no one in the chat right now. I'm checking it on my YouTube account as well. But if you would like to book a reading, a mini reading, you can book below. So the instructions on how to do that are all below. And I do need your time of birth, your date of birth, and your place of birth in order to conduct your reading here live. And then they are kept up for you to view at a later point. Hello, Molly. Welcome. Is it the same? Are you the same Molly from before? Am I right in saying? If you are, then welcome back. Thanks for being here. I hope you're doing good. I hope that the solar eclipse is treating you well. We are pretty much there, I think. Let me check. Time. Let me see over here. And go here. Oh, good. Welcome back. How are you doing today? I hope you're having a good weekend. How are you feeling about the solar eclipse? Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, close. We're close. Couple of hours, by 2 hours. Hello to Ingrid. Thanks for joining. You are joining from Arizona. Very nice. I hope you're having a good weekend. Yes, so if anyone is interested in booking a live mini reading with myself, you can do so below. Molly, you say that you're ready for the change. I have to say, I am feeling like I am ready for the easing away from the intensity of this eclipse season. For me personally, it's really activating my first house of my body, my health, my physical condition, and also my relationships. So a lot has happened within those areas of my life, a lot going on with in my relationships, and how I also feel about relationships and other people. I know that sounded very vague, but it's really just because it's not something that I want to share details about, but it's been stressful. let me put it that way. It's been very stressful. So, yes, I'm ready for things to ease away, for things not to be as heightened, as intense. I'm also, do you know what I'm going to do whilst I'm waiting? I'm going to give it a bit of time. I'm going to look at the astrology of 2026. I'm going to look through what I have here. I want to check when the next eclipse is. Yeah, we also have we've got a lunar eclipse happening in Virgo. Oh, that's going to happen right on my natal Jupiter, because it's going to happen at 12 degrees. March time, that's going to occur next year. Oh my word. Right on Jupiter for me. Jupiter rules my 4th house of family and home, and also rules my 7th house of relationships, partnerships. And then Jupiter's conjunct the ascendant for me. So maybe there could be some new experience that comes to a head, a culmination of events. Of course, I'm sort of in that process, I guess, right now on the lead up to that full moon. Naturally, it will happen March time next year. So that's about what, 6-7 months away or so. Interesting. I can see how there will be a lot of personal development, positive personal development. I'm here for it. Because the past couple of years, have not been easy. Not at all. Very stressful. Heightened stress, heightened worry, anxiety. Not all doom and gloom, obviously, but I'm just saying that it has felt like life has been trying to beat me down in more ways than 1. Yeah. And I'm basically just trying to get through it. And it will. It will get better. And there has already been improvement, but I do feel like I'm gonna feel a lot lighter. A lot lighter. So yes, let's see if anyone is interested in joining. I'm basically going to continue with looking at the astrology of next year. Then we have eclipses opening up in Aquarius and Leo. The Aquarius Leo axis in our charts. Ooh, for me, that's going to be the 6th house, 12th house axis. So a lot to do with my job, my work, a lot to do with endings, karmic cycles coming to a close, my hidden self. So the solar eclipse will happen. So it'll be an annual solar eclipse that will happen February time. So during Aquarius season, of course, yes, in the sign of Aquarius, 28 degrees. So coming to the end of the sign. Come to think of it though, degrees wise, where's my sun? Saturn's 10 degrees, Mercury is 16, I believe, and then the sun is 19, I'm pretty sure. So not really close to my Aquarius placements, but still it's going to activate my 6th house there. Interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. Well, we have someone who has booked in. Thank you so much to Jocelyn or Jocelyn. Jocelyn, I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly. Right. Let's put in your info. Let me check the chat for a moment to see. Molly, you say it is your Ferris wheel for sure. All right. Let's have a look. I'm checking this other chat because I did notice some issues before. I think we're good for the chat. I think it was just that one time that it was a bit weird. Glitches. Jocelyn, let's see. I am putting in your info. And thank you very much for booking, of course. Hi, Miss Sunroad. Hi. Did you go to Copenhagen? Was that this weekend? Because I can't remember. I think it was. I think you were saying you went this weekend, the over the weekend there. Okay. Oh, no, it's not that one. It's this one. Yes, and then yes. It was. How was your time in Copenhagen? Did you have an amazing time? I hope you did. And do excuse me, I am currently putting in the birth information here. So my brain is in a different place, trying to focus. All right. I'm so glad I changed my camera. Honestly, I was just being lazy. And then when I saw it, I was like, no, this is awful. Need to change that. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Do excuse me, getting your chart ready, Jocelyn. Okay, all good. We can present it. Oh, shopping, good food, and a birthday. Love it. Hope you had the best weekend then. It sounds like you did. Sounds like you did. And a lovely way to end your birthday week. And I'm glad to hear that the weather was nice too. That's always a plus. Okay. Now, let's get this presented. Okay, there we go. Drizzling. And I need to read through your question, and I want to get a few different timing techniques. Do that. And then we'll come back here. We'll do this, and then we'll go here, here, and scroll down here. All right, lovely. Read the question. So, career, 10 years or so. Okay. You're a speech therapist, but you would like to become a writer. Okay. Interesting. Give me a moment, please, Jocelyn, so I can read through your chart and see what connections I can find. What's going on in this one? So that's sort of Pisces influence in the first. Okay, North Node's in Pisces. Go here. Yep, North Node. So, interesting connection there. All right. And Scorpio is up there. Okay, midheavens in Sag. Jupiter, though, is in Gemini. Okay. Sorry, I'm just basically saying these things out loud to myself, and then we'll properly dive in, okay? And progressions. Mercury's retrograde. When's that going direct? Is that going to go direct in the next 5 years, 10 years? It is, okay. It's going to go direct in the next 5 years. Right, but maybe is it going to go direct in the next two years? Can we see movement? Could we see movement? 3 years? Okay, about 3 years. Okay. So, Jocelyn, let's get stuck in. Thank you for your patience. So, the first I want to mention, which I do remember these are minis. For full, more detailed, thorough readings, longer, you can book a reading with me by going to my website, hannahselsewhere.com. Right, so the first thing is I really wanted to look at the midheaven point, because the midheaven point is so much about our purpose. It's about our vocation, and it's about our role, our position. So with this midheaven in Sagittarius, we see that you may very well take on the role of teacher, lecturer, philosopher, the explorer, the adventurer, always willing to learn and expand your horizons. And you're going to do that, particularly within groups, communities, clubs, institutions, companies, organizations, these types of bigger places or that are comprised of more people. Spreading a message, passing on significant knowledge to others. Presenting even comes to mind, broadcasting, publishing comes to mind. But then we also see that you've got the ruler of the midheaven, Jupiter, located in the opposite sign, Gemini. And this is where we really see your gifts show up. Gifted at what? Well, gifted at possibly writing, communicating, delivering facts and necessary information, teaching, but teaching in digestible and somewhat concise ways. So being able to especially communicate in a fun way, a playful way, an entertaining way, right? With the fifth house activation, Jupiter's in the fifth house. Possibly also being able to communicate to younger people. And the other thing to add is Mars. So Mars is also in Gemini. Mars strongly speaks to our drive, speaks to our ability to do and initiate. So there is this type of initiation with relation to communication. Oh, that rhymes. That's kind of funny. But anyway, so what's also highlighted with this one, though, is Chiron nearby. And what came to my mind when you mentioned, so you said about you are a speech therapist. And what we see here is, well, Chiron is in the sixth house of health. And then Mars is in the fifth house of, this could relate to passion. This could relate to passing on information in an interesting way, or again, working with the young with the fifth house activation. So I'm thinking about speech therapy, especially for children, for young people, maybe within families, helping families, supporting them, nurturing them when it comes to language, their voice, how they describe things, how they basically can communicate, especially whenever they're feeling unsafe or unseen, or maybe they're working through traumas or they're working through unresolved issues. So yes, we see the working themes here. And then to also add into this, you do have Pluto in Scorpio. And to me, Scorpio, and it's in the 10th house of career, your profession. So to me, Scorpio is the sign that is related to psychology. We think about counselors, psychotherapists, psychologists, etc. And Pluto then being in this 10th house arena highlights this type of profession, right? These types of professions, these roles too. But then another thing that's interesting to note about this is the movements that are happening within the fifth house, because you just said there about being a writer. And what I go to here is the enjoyment of writing, the pleasure you get from writing. What I also go to from this is you may be the type of writer that can draw from the experiences you have gained working with clients, patients, working with families closely, younger people, maybe working with the elderly here too, working with basically people who maybe need that support, right? So you can draw from those experiences and then even be inspired by those experiences and all of the wisdom perhaps you have gained and learned over the years with relation to this role, right? Chiron is so much about turning our wounds into wisdom, turning pain, suffering into wisdom, knowledge for others, especially with Mars and Gemini nearby. There's something quite active about this process. There's something about virtue and honor. So with the movement that I'm trying to highlight here too, oh, and by the way, Jupiter in Gemini, I think, can also indicate this wit, right? Maybe you are quite witty or you're quite quick to come up with comebacks or to come up with information. It's almost like you can just find it there. It's there to grab. Right. Like I was like I was trying to highlight there a moment ago. Okay, couple of things I want to mention, and this is important because you did ask about this 10-year sort of time frame. In about 3 years' time, 3 years, the second I progressed, Mercury will turn direct. Okay, so if you notice here, you've got Mercury in Taurus, and that can highlight your ability to apply information practically. So to be able to ground what you learn in practical ways, of course, you're very Taurus dominant. You've got even the moon in Capricorn too, speaking to your security focus, speaking to your ability to really build long term, to think about the future, to be consistent, to be trustworthy. I imagine you being a very dependable person, focusing on your security, making sure that you have enough resources and money and everything else, okay? So with Mercury, the secondary progressed Mercury, going to turn direct in the next 3 years or so, what will happen is Mercury will start to enter Gemini a few years after that and will activate this 5th house area. So maybe we could see some new chapter being ushered in to do with the likes of writing here. But I think the key here is about fun. It's about enjoyment, pleasure. So one way to think about this or to look at this could be a change with relation to purpose, your direction, especially because you already have the ruler of your midheaven in Jupiter in the 5th. But you see, there's more to this, which could be activated or could be ushered in maybe a bit sooner than what I'm trying to say. So stay with me. Let's think about Uranus. Transit Uranus is going to move back into Gemini around Taurus season next year. So around your birthday, something like that, around 2026, around your birthday. And what will happen over the next 7 years from that point is Uranus will travel all the way through this 5th house area. So what's Uranus? Uranus is about revelations, change, surprises, the unpredictable, the unexpected. So we could see some interesting unexpected shifts tied to especially your purpose, your vision, your future aspirations, particularly as Uranus joins up with Jupiter over the next couple of years. And that is further, so basically there's more to this story as the secondary progressed Mercury turns direct and then will eventually enter into the 5th as well. So what I'm trying to get at here is there is a story unfolding for you to do with these topics, these areas that you want to know about. Let me also then consider, okay, we have another thing. What will further occur is Uranus will eventually join up with your natal Mars, and Mars is also there in the 5th house. Mars rules your 10th house of career, your 10th house of your vocation, and your 3rd house of communication. We think about writing, we think about learning here with the 3rd house. So to have those 2 houses essentially be activated by Uranus over the next 7 years or so, this is where we see significant change. And the other thing I'm going to mention, and this is going to be one of the final things I'm going to mention, is you've got so much of this Capricorn influence actually in the 12th. And why am I bringing this up? Well, I think what this speaks to is your ability to feel and empathize with others, to put yourself into the shoes of others. I also see that with the North Node in Pisces, this Aquarius rising influence, which is very close to the North Node. And why is this relevant? I think this is relevant because this speaks to your creative gifts. This speaks to your creative writing, inspiration, imagination, tapping into what feels like this higher source, this higher power, almost as if information, it moves through you and you ground it. You bring complex ideas and you ground them in reality. And it's that realism that can move people. And it's your ability to move people emotionally that is a part of what can make you a great writer. That's perhaps going to really assist you when it comes to people wanting to buy your books or learn from you or just basically read what you're writing. And hey, if it is that you would really love to become a writer, I can only imagine that, yeah, you, especially with your Capricorn influence, you may really want that. You may strive for things to go well so that you could possibly turn it into a source of income or a business, or there's some significant progress. Thank you so much, Jocelyn. I hope that was somewhat helpful. And it was interesting to see what could happen over the next 7-10 years or so for you. Naturally, there is more to be said. We want to think about other cycles. Of course, this is a mini reading, but that would be what I would say first looking at your chart. Thank you, Jocelyn. Okay, I'm going to continue on and look at the astrology for next year. Yeah, so we've got the solar eclipse happening. Oh, that's interesting for you, Jocelyn. That solar eclipse will happen right on your ascendant in Aquarius. So keep note of that. Keep note of that one. That's all I'll say on that. It's going to happen very close to your ascendant. What else do we have? Yes, lunar eclipse in Virgo. And then I think that will be the final eclipse on the Virgo Pisces axis. I think so. Oh, no, wrong. Wrong. We also have a lunar eclipse in Pisces next year too. Yep, we're not done. Still got another year or so. And then even the effects of that eclipse, which will last for a while. The story is not over. But a new story opens in Leo and Aquarius. And we already have Pluto in Aquarius, right? And then the nodes are going to be moving into, so the north node moves into Aquarius, whilst the south node is in Leo. Ooh, some ego transformations, ego deaths, possibly. Inner child wounds coming up. Confidence fears. When do we hold ourselves back? When do we perform rather than being ourselves? When might we overcompensate by seeking maybe validation from others or unnecessary attention from others? And a Venus retrograde next year too. Yeah, Venus retrograde will happen in Scorpio and Libra. I do remember the Venus retrograde in Scorpio and Libra from, when was it? 2018, I believe. 18. Yeah, 8 years. That's the 8-year cycle. I remember that. So that should be interesting. And then do we have... Oh, no. Right, okay. Of course, Jupiter will also enter Leo next year too. Hello to Max D'Angelo. Thanks for joining. Greetings from Madrid. Nice. Great to have you here. So if anybody would like to book a mini reading, the instructions on how to do that are below. They're below. I am not sure though if I should do horoscopes for all of the signs for 2026. See, I might try and condense things a little bit instead of going into a lot of detail like I did last year. Maybe just touch on like the key events, Hello to Victoria. Thanks for joining. You have Chiron. So Chiron is rising in your chart at 2 degrees. It's in Cancer, and then you've got a Capricorn stellium opposite that in the 7th house. And then Aries is conjunct the Sun in the 11th, and then you have Leo in the 3rd. So Aries conjunct the Sun. So is your Sun in Aries as well? Is that what you're saying? It's a lot of cardinal in your chart, a lot of cardinal energy. Also, Mars is going to enter Scorpio tomorrow, and it's also going to be the autumn equinox. So we have the solar eclipse happening here in a matter of, an hour or so, an hour or two, something like that. And then tomorrow morning, Mars will go into Scorpio, and then the Sun will enter Libra. Mars is going to make that square to Pluto in Scorpio. So there could be some type of pent-up tension, but hopefully a healthy release of pent-up tension. Hopefully to not so much control or giving into power dynamics. Then again, hey, you know what? I think when it comes to conflict and those types of things, it's also about what we learn from those experiences too, how we react. Maybe there's something to be said about trying to control or manage is a better word, to manage our emotions in a healthy way, right? This healthy expression of them. Yeah, could be quite a reactive time. So yeah, Sun in Libra tomorrow. We've got the autumn equinox happening. Day and night are very much equal. And then we also have Mercury will enter Scorpio around the 6th of October, and then there will be the full moon in Aries coming. So a lot coming into Libra and Scorpio. I imagine many changes, revelations to do with our relationships specifically, business-wise, but also intimacy-wise. Hello to Stanley. Hi, thank you so much for booking. Let's look at your chart. Thank you. And Victoria, Venus is conjunct the Sun, so the Sun and Venus are both there. Right, so you've got a good bit of fire in you. All right, let me get Stanley's chart ready. Thank you very much for booking. And do remember, everybody, these are mini readings. If you would like to book a full reading with myself, then go to hannahselsewhere.com. You can find all of my services. Things are pretty straightforward over there too with the booking process. It's pretty easy to do. And Stanley, amazing. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. And I'm glad that you enjoyed the content. I hope that I can be of help, of good use. Let's have a look. And yeah, I think it's that one, yeah. And P. Yeah. Okay, that's correct. Cool. And yes, that is that method. Come here and go to there. And then go here. By the way, anybody who is on Instagram, if you're not following me on Instagram yet, the same handle, it's hannahselsewhere. I am currently working through derivative houses, looking at how derivative houses work, and hopefully I will also make a video, by the way, about derivative houses. I'm pretty sure I will at some point. But if you're wanting to learn at all about derivative houses, then follow me on Instagram. So Stanley, let's have a look at your chart. How is your chart looking? You want to know, how is it looking? Give me a moment, please, and I can help you out. Transits. Okay. First thing I want to mention for you, Stanley, is Mars is very close to entering your first house. So you've got Scorpio there in the first house. Mars will enter Scorpio tomorrow and will be there for about 2 months or so, something like that. A good few weeks anyway, okay? So let's explore. Basically, with the first house, it speaks to your body. It rules your physical condition, your health. So to have Mars come into this first house area for you, we could see some notable changes to do with your drive, how you assert yourself, maybe a new cycle to do with your goals, even to think about the past number of weeks as Mars has traveled through your 12th house. I wonder about the types of karmic endings, the ending of cycles that have occurred for you, particularly cycles that are not balanced, right? They have spoken to your lack of balance. So maybe feeling a bit like, okay, this needs to change. This thing isn't healthy for me. It's not good for my body. It's not good for my well-being. It could be a work situation that you've had to address, that you've had to look over and look at more closely. So as Mars shifts into the first house, maybe we could see a new atmosphere or just something different about your perspective or about how you show up there. And there could also be greater devotion or maybe greater focus, greater concentration. Having said that, Mars will also make squares to all of this 10th house stuff in your chart. Partly will also make a square to The fourth house. So it could feel a bit like there's a tug of war between your family life and your professional life, between your emotional world and your public world. Maybe it'll feel as if you're standing at a crossroads over the next coming weeks, or you will have to make a significant decision about what you want moving forward. But yet, in terms of this decision making process, remember that Mercury is going to continue traveling through your 12th house over the next couple of weeks. And that then can suggest reflection, time to reflect. Basically, what I'm getting from this is trying not to jump to conclusions and trying not to make any significant decisions very quickly without having weighed out the pros and cons, basically. So there is that. Okay, what else could I maybe mention here? I want to try and look at other parts and not just focus on one thing. Let me see. Okay, we also see that Uranus is going to come back into your 7th house over the next number of weeks. So around November time, actually, it's going to be. But essentially, what's going to happen there is it's going to partly trigger again this Mars influence, which is opposing the ascendant. So what I go to here is maybe having to explore new avenues, new ways of showing up within your relationships, certain commitments you've made maybe to people, or it could be even a work responsibility or a work interest because Mars does rule your 6th house, or it could be a health matter that comes to a head. Or maybe this is something that you've already been battling with or having to address. And so it'll be another opportunity for you to go back in and to reevaluate. So I imagine, for example, you getting the answers that you need. Maybe it could be a case of significant news coming in, a significant shift in awareness and consciousness slightly. And that could even speak to your physical wellness, your resilience. It's going to be an interesting one, furthermore, to consider how Mars over the next coming weeks, so the transit Mars, like I said, it's going to enter Scorpio tomorrow. What will happen over the next coming weeks is it will directly oppose your natal Mars. So that Mars opposition could highlight some friction or tension between you and a partner, you and a business partner. It could be a colleague, co-worker relationship. Again, because Mars rules the 6th house of co-workers, maybe also some type of conflict or disagreement between you and someone of service, a member of service. Impatience could be present here. There could be this inner frustration that's sort of building, this inner tension that's building. And hey, that could also indicate a significant release where you're able to step back from that particular conflict or that issue, and you're able to consider, okay, well, what is the best possible option moving forward for your health, for your well-being? Naturally, maybe it's also about trying to reach some healthy compromise, a healthy win-win outcome, hopefully. But hey, not all of these situations do result in a win-win outcome. So it could be a case of, okay, well, what needs to give? I imagine this as you sort of locking horns maybe with somebody over the next coming weeks. But again, hopefully this could be a case of healthy resolve for you too. Let me also consider, so Uranus does really your 4th house of family. I'm wondering about family member conversations, tensions between you and family members, maybe about your career, about your professional life, okay? Because Uranus will also make that square to the midheaven. What are you maybe also done with? Maybe this is also speaking to freedom, greater freedom on your part. And at this moment of time, during this moment, and over the past couple of weeks with Uranus being in your 8th house, perhaps you are trying to assess shared resources, debts that you're trying to pay off. Perhaps it also speaks to your spouse's money, your partner's money, or other people's money. here, and you're trying to basically get your thinking cap on and consider, okay, well, what is the best possible option here for us both, or how can we support one another? That's interesting. Yeah, because what will also occur is, well, technically, I suppose this is also happening, but Uranus is making a sextile to the sun in Cancer, right? You're a Cancerian. So, with the sun in Cancer influence, we see just how caring you are as a person. And maybe this is about trying to support a family member, a close loved one. So, what I'm trying to get at here is over the next coming weeks and months, it could be a case of trying to reevaluate this matter. Maybe it's also about legal issues that could come to a head or possibly come to a close with further analysis. Uh, Let me see what else. Okay, another thing I want to mention is you do have this grand water trine in your chart. I want to touch on that a little bit. And that is between your Scorpio rising, the moon in Pisces, and the sun in Cancer. So these are activating this trinity of energy and spirit for you. So with firstly Cancer on the rising, when we consider the way you basically first approach life, how you show up instantly, automatically, as some could argue, you are someone who is you can come across as very controlled. You can come across as quite sort of powerful in a way, or like you know what you're doing. You stand up for yourself. You do not let people mess with you. We also see your resilience as a person, your bravery, your courage, your ability to overcome adversity. And it's those types of lessons or experiences that shape you largely. And then what we also see when it comes to this moon influence in the fifth house is actually how sensitive you are, how profoundly deep you are, and how you can take on the emotions of others, almost like this emotional sponge at times. And that could also be coming from romantic partners, lovers, when it comes to interests, pleasures, things that you like, things that you enjoy. Maybe you can be somewhat easily impressionable in this way, but your emotional intelligence with this grand water sign in these houses of energy and spirit, yeah, we see your emotional intelligence, we see your emotional maturity and wisdom, especially with Saturn now being back in your fifth house and tying up some loose ends. I mean, Saturn has been traveling through your fifth house, off your personality, off your self expression for the past couple of years. So we do see this fairly new version of you, right? This more responsible, mature version of you emotionally. And that does require a healthy give and take, this healthy space between you and others. So that's interesting to see. And then also, we see that you've got this sun in Cancer and it's in this ninth house area, really speaking to your philosophies, your worldview, your belief systems. I imagine possibly certain family belief systems being passed on to you. I imagine you maybe aligning with could be your mother's belief system, or it could be a case of you being very protective of what your beliefs are and nurturing them, being very knowledgeable, being able to see the bigger picture very well, and being known as that person within your family too. So, this could also be where this emotional depth can come through, where you almost can pass on your vision, pass on your understanding and your inner knowing to your loved ones, right? This stuff to do with the grand water trine really speaks to your gifts, what you can offer the world, and it's possibly your empathy, your emotional depth that can maybe speak to you helping people, being of service to other people, wanting to make the world a better place. And then again, it could also be about art, creativity, your ability to just create from a place of, okay, these are my beliefs, these are my philosophical views. Last thing that I'm going to say, though, for you, of course, this is a mini reading, is that Jupiter So Jupiter in the next number of months, I would say closer to about January time, February time, about that. So coming into 2026, Jupiter will activate this sun point. Okay, I'm going to say February. More around that time. It will activate the groundwater trine. So that could maybe speak to some new opportunities to do with higher education, maybe learning more, expanding more, thinking about relocating possibly there, or maybe changing your environment just in some way. And that could maybe speak to uh, more of your finances, more of your resources, maybe, for example, trying to save up for a big trip, or saving up your money to do something abroad or to study somewhere, whatever the case may be. I just think there is an expansion of your knowledge. So something about furthering yourself, learning wise, knowledge wise. Your resources could also grow and expand because Sagittarius does rule your second house. And that could also maybe speak to your creativity, your art as well. Yeah, I think, yeah, because Jupiter also rules your fifth house too. That's you, Stanley. I wanted to touch on that groundwater trine. It's interesting to see. So maybe you can relate. So your personality, it speaks to your emotional depth overall, and that can manifest naturally in many different ways. Thank you so much, Stanley. And let's see. Oh, all right. Let's have a look. Hello to Coconut Rising. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks for being here, and thank you for booking. I believe. Let me see. Yes, is this you? Boom, boom. Can you hold on? Sorry, let me get this set up. And I want to say, Stanley, again, thank you so much for booking. Can I ask, please, Coconut Rising, let me see, which name did you book under? Can you please let me know that? And Stanley, you said pretty spot on, to be honest. Oh, great. Well, thank you for letting me know your feedback. There's more detail I could obviously go into, but naturally, this is a mini reading, or that was a mini reading, but thank you anyway. Okay. I am getting information ready. I think so. I think it's that one. And is it that? Yeah. So, got ya. No problem, Coconut Rising. Got you here. So, JC, Fab, thank you very much for confirming. I am going to get your chart, and you want to know about strengths, possible career options, and what else did you say? Back and forth about pursuing astrology too. Ooh. Let's have a look. 2 seconds. I need to put on the light. Okay. Nice. Thank you for booking. Give me a moment so I can explore your chart. Go here, here. Right, let's break this down. And again, I want to say thanks for booking, and I hope that you benefit from your mini reading. So, let's explore firstly that you have the ascendant in Gemini and the midheaven in Aquarius. So, both of these signs are air signs. And what this can maybe speak to is your gifts to do with connecting the bigger picture, connecting the bigger dots, looking at more complex or controversial subjects, which you may seek to bring to humanity, bring to the collective. Very fascinating to think that you were asking about their astrology, right? You mentioned astrology, you've been studying it for years. And what do we see? We see that the midheaven is in Aquarius, and the midheaven is about our purpose, our vocation, our achievements, our accomplishments, long term. And then the North Node is about destiny, and it speaks to our direction, so where we're headed. So to have both the midheaven and the North Node in Aquarius, well, a possible career path could be astrology for you. So to work with these larger cycles, because essentially, astrology is the study of cycles, and also it's a very intuitive study. I think this just me, personally speaking, I think it is very intuitive because it really can be open to interpretation in many ways, whilst also there are certain rules and structures in place. So with Aquarius, there is this Saturn influence with Aquarius, and that speaks to rules, following a structure, being quite organized and orderly. But then there's also the Uranian side of this, which speaks to intuition, enlightenment, insight, uh, moments that just hit you, right? Those flashes of insight to do with Aquarius. So this is happening in this ninth house of higher education, of the bigger picture, publishing. It's the ninth house of broadcasting. So to present a certain message or to broadcast your message with humanity, sharing what you know with the collective. And also, Aquarius is about the collective. It's about wanting to make the world a better place for all. So maybe what you can do is, especially when we consider this through a lens of possibly astrology or possibly just teaching or publishing in some way, shape, or form, what you want to do is you want to consider this South Node area with Leo, right? The South Node's in Leo. And consider then, right, in which ways do you express yourself through writing? In which ways are you creative through writing? And here's the thing about it. These gifts that you learn about to do with creative writing, for instance, can be what assists you when it comes to your career path, possibly tied to, could be astrology as an example. And the other thing is, and this is interesting for you particularly, is that the North Node is going to enter Aquarius throughout 2026. And the South Node will, of course, go into Leo. So what you'll experience is your nodal return, right? So that will happen. That will be more around 2027, honestly. But the nodes will still move into those signs 2026. And Jupiter will also enter Leo next year, so 2026. So you'll experience your Jupiter return. So to have your nodal return and your Jupiter return so close to one another in this way or around that time, so 2026, 2027, we could see some interesting new chapters for you, honestly, new opportunities for you to do with what? Education. Education. And one possible avenue could be, hey, maybe you decide to join a course. It could be an astrology course, it could be a computing course, it could be a technology course, it could be a science related course. Maybe it's even looking at different forms of maybe divination in some way, shape, or form. I'm even thinking about could be tarot, learning the tarot. It could also be about sacred geometry. Sacred geometry might interest you, but whatever it is, there's something about your strong interest in the likes of space, the stars, the cosmos, beyond here, the questioning to do with why we're here, what is the meaning of life, very philosophical, the abstract. What I'm getting from this is the abstract. And then you use your creative gifts and you apply them to what is abstract. And let's also throw into this, a moment ago, like I said, you've got Gemini on the rising. So, what this indicates is your eagerness, your willingness to soak up information like an absolute sponge, right? It's your ability to learn from multiple sources, multiple people, and then to see what really interests you. You can jump from one subject, one topic, one area to another. And you see, it's all of those little pieces of information. It's all of the knowledge that you gather that contributes to your success, that contributes to your wider visions, the bigger picture. It's seeing the smaller pieces within the bigger picture. So this is okay. This is the thing that I strongly suggest when it comes to learning astrology, is that you want to also consider going into different kind of potholes or different areas within it. So if, for example, we look at, okay, the fifth house, which we're going to move on to next, the fifth house is about romance, it's about love, it's about our hobbies. So a way to maybe further your understanding on that would be, okay, look into love and romance. What does that actually mean? Look into the love and romance scene right now. What's going on within society? What was going on in society a few years ago? Where is the future of love and romance? So it's sort of like you can look at astrology as the bigger picture thing, Aquarius, but then the Gemini part of you is able to dabble, is able to look into all these other parts, and then you can connect the dots. So I find that really interesting. But also, what this can further speak to is writing, writing, teaching, being maybe a communication worker in some way, right? Maybe managing people could be a part of your story as well. You've also got Saturn in Capricorn. Saturn rules the midheaven for you. Saturn's in Capricorn in the 8th house, and the 8th house is so much about the taboo, the occult. And then it's also very close to Neptune. You've got Uranus there. I think about you drawing from maybe your spiritual gifts. This could also be you drawing from your ability to innovate as well. Business comes to mind here. But yes, do keep in mind though that this is a process. Maybe this is something that you're already working towards, you're striving towards, because you have Saturn in Capricorn. You've already experienced I think it's your first Saturn return. Yeah, you experienced that a good few years ago. But then let's also speak to something else. All of the Libra in the 5th house. Like I said, we would make it back to here. Libra in the 5th house. So this here speaks to how poetic you may be, your ability to read different sides of an equation, to ask about, okay, well, what's this person think and that person, right? You can assess other people's experiences, gather the information and feedback that you need, and this could be a source of fun for you. And then you can apply those experiences, the feedback that you gather, apply those to the real world. And that could be even a part of the challenge with the square to Capricorn in the 8th house. So how you can apply maybe relationship dynamics in the real world, how they really show up, maybe interviewing different couples or studying, researching love and connection or intimacy, what goes into all of that. And what I'm also going to highlight here is your ability to balance this striving to want to balance what you're learning about, to not be super swayed one way or super swayed the other way. And then what that can suggest is you being quite impartial or non-judgmental and being able to listen to other people. I even imagine this, for instance, as you possibly getting into relationship work where you are helping others connect within their relationships. Maybe if there are any intimacy issues or intimacy problems, you can be there as a source of support. You've also got Pluto, by the way, in the 6th house, and you've got Chiron in the 2nd house. So maybe this speaks to some therapeutic settings, also the Capricorn stuff in the 8th house. Yeah, maybe this is about you aiding people within the relationships, and that doesn't just have to be romantically, that could also be professionally. This could be within business, right? So those business connections too. Yeah, very, very interesting to see here. And maybe also because you do have a 5th house stellium, these types of dynamics, maybe learning about other people, why they do the things they do, what makes them tick, what makes them function, this is fun for you. Like, this is enjoyable for you. And that could also speak to your ability to keep this stuff going and to, continue on. And also, I'm thinking here that with this Libra focus too, you standing for what is just, what is fair. Maybe freedom could be a part of this. I also see that there is a bit of this grand air trine happening in your chart between the Gemini and Aquarius and then Libra. So maybe a part of where you're very gifted is your ability to communicate with others, is to learn through other people, their experiences, what they've went through. Your ability to read maybe between the lines in terms of, what is shared, what isn't said too. And I'm partly saying that because of the Pluto influence in the 6th house and how that is making that sextile to Saturn. Now, the other thing, and this is going to be one of the last things I'm going to say, is you do have the secondary progressed midheaven in Pisces. So, maybe that could possibly speak to some changes, some progression to do with your career path or what you want out of life. Maybe it speaks more to the psychic tendencies or abilities. Maybe also it speaks to creativity. Hey, that's another thing with all of the 5th house stuff. That can highlight the amount of creative passion you have, your creative spirit, your desire to want to create stuff, to produce things. Though another way to also think about this is you being open to change, being quite open to maybe a different path if it ever presents itself. Maybe that speaks to the whole embracing the unknown, embracing the mysteries of life slightly, with the North Node traveling through your 10th house right now. So it's an interesting sort of group of planets to explore, and I would naturally love to explore them more closely and in more detail. But this is a live mini reading, and I do want to say thank you. I hope I was able to shed some type of light on this for you. Let me have a look as well. I am looking at the chat. Bum, 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 bum. Yes, Jennifer, hello to you. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Happy eclipse to you. Yes, the 8th house stuff, thinking about the bigger picture. Yes, you're interested in synastry. I was I was thinking that I was thinking that with the relationship side of things, you could maybe get into more of the relationship focused areas to do with astrology, right? Because that often does happen with astrologers. They tend to find their niche or tend to find their thing. And maybe your thing could be about relationships. And if it's not astrology, I even imagine this as you working in some ways with couples or with families, right? To look at healthy resolve. Maybe this could be about helping other people resolve conflict in a healthy way. And that could even speak to your Mars trine Libra stuff. Okay. Yeah. And being a leader, right? Mars is in the first house. There's that leadership position. You, even being able to direct your life or direct other people, to guide other people, maybe management. And that's something I did highlight earlier. Yeah, managing other people. But yeah, I do think essentially for you, working with others seems to be where you're going to thrive the most. It's within those interactions. Maybe challenging the minds of others too, getting them to think differently about things. Okay, yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate you booking, JC. Thanks again. I think everyone, that's going to be me for this session. I am going to go now. And I do want to say thank you to those who booked during this session. Thanks for being here. And I do hope to return. Maybe I'll see. I'll see when I do return. I will let you know throughout the week or whenever that might be. Let me know if you would like me to come back or do more readings. Yeah, let me know. I am going to leave now. Happy eclipse, everybody. We are, I think, an hour away or so, something like that. It's very soon. Thanks for booking, everyone. Have a great week ahead and stay tuned for more videos coming on the channel.